بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين.
Interpretation of the Holy Quran.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. With the assistance of Allah, we started to have a brief interpretation of Quran. We reached to chapter Baqara. This chapter is revealed in Medina and it has 287 verses. Please listen to verse 26.
إن الله لا يستحيي أن يضرب مثلا ما بعوضة فما فوقها فأما الذين آمنوا فيعلمون أنه الحق من ربهم وأما الذين كفروا فيقولون ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا وما يضل به إلا الفاسقين.
Surely Allah is not ashamed to set forth any parable, a mosquito or anything above that. Then as for those who believe, they know that it is the truth from their Lord. وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, and those who did not believe, they say what Allah meant by these examples. يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. Allah causes by it, Quran or example, to misguide many people. يُضِلُّ بِهِ كَثِيرًا, misguide or cause error by Quran many people, and guide by it by Quran many people. وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. And Allah says, Quran does not cause any error unless for transgressors. In previous section we talked about this verse until we reached to this sentence that Allah said, وَيَهْدِي بِهِ كَثِيرًا. And Allah is going to guide many people by Quran. We said, here Allah says كَثِيرًا, many people. But in many verses of Quran, Allah has mentioned that what did He mean from kaseer? Who takes benefit out of Quran and who will be guided by Quran? I would like to mention some of these examples. For example, Allah says in chapter Ra'd verse 27, وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ. Whoever goes to Allah, Allah is going to guide him. وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ, and guides to Himself those who turn, it means turn to Him. Those who go to Him and try their best, then Allah will help them. The opposite of that, those who do not go to Allah, do not feel that really they are in need of worshipping Allah and taking help of Allah, Allah is not going to guide them. Allah has ordered us to take refuge to Him and says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I take refuge to Allah from the Satan. Then Allah is going to help. So in this verse, Allah says, whoever goes to Allah, Allah is going to guide him. In another verse, Allah says, يهدي به الله من اتبع رضوانه. With it means Quran, Allah guides him who will follow His pleasure. Those who wants to make Allah happy and to gain His satisfaction, Allah is going to guide them. But for those people that it doesn't make a difference for them, that Allah will be happy of them or not, Allah says the Quran is not going to help them. Prophet, Quran is going to help those people who try their best. For those who tries to stay in a straight path, to find a straight path, Quran is going to guide, otherwise they will not be misguided, they will not be guided, and Quran is not going to help them. In another verse, chapter Ankabut, verse 69, Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. Those who are working so hard and strive hard for us, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, we will most certainly guide them in our ways. But those who are not working at all, those who are not trying to obey our obligations, Allah says we are not guiding them, and even our holy book, our prophet, is not going to benefit them. As a result, those who intentionally are going to disobey Allah, fight with Allah, oppress other people, and disbelieve in Allah, disbelieve in resurrection day, Allah says definitely Allah is not going to guide them. In many verses of Quran, Allah repeats this sentence that says, وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Allah is not going to guide the nation who are transgressors, those nations who are oppressing the others. In many verses, Allah says, وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الْكَافِرِينَ. Allah does not guide disbelievers, those who heard the truth and disobeyed, those who understood who is the Lord and started to fight Him and disbelieve on resurrection day. Allah says these people will not be guided by Allah. There are a few messages that we can take from this verse. One, Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَحْيِي أَن يَضْرِبَ مَثَلًا. Allah says, surely Allah will not ashamed to set forth an example of ba'udh, mosquito, فَمَا فَوْقَهَا, or something bigger than mosquito. First message we will understand from the example that Allah has given, and He says, I am not ashamed. We understand that we should be ashamed from something that is illegal, the intellect rejected, or the religion rejected. But it's something that the intellect will accept it. The religion allowed us, we should not be embarrassed, we should not be ashamed. And Allah wants to tell the truth. Allah wants to tell the realities to people. And He is not embarrassed, He is not ashamed to give an example of mosquito, since the intellect does not reject it, the religion doesn't reject to give such an example, and Allah wants to guide people, so it is very, very acceptable to give such an example. Second, we understand from the example that Allah has given to us, if we want to teach people, we should give them very simple example until everybody will understand. It's not necessary and it is not acceptable to give some examples that many people will be confused. Allah gives very simple examples and we should do the same. Important issues, but normal examples, very simple examples until the people will understand. Another message when Allah says, فَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. Allah says believers are those that when they see the examples, the verses of Quran, they understood that this is true and it is from Allah. So believers believe in Allah's words and they obey, but disbelievers are those who reject. Also, we understood that when Allah gives an example, Allah wants to teach people and improve them. Allah wants the people to understand the truth and follow it. Then Allah says, فَيَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّهِمْ. And believers knows that the example that Allah gives, it is true from the Lord. So they think properly and they try to get the message from Allah. Another message, Allah says in behalf of these people, that these people says, ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا يضل به كثيرا ويهدي به كثيرا. Allah says that these people says, why Allah has given such an example? The Quran will misguide some people and will guide some. Allah wants to say, don't worry. If some people will not follow the truth, it is so normal. Why? Because some people want to have excuse and they can find excuses all the time. And when Allah wants to talk about these people, He says, وَأَمَّا الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَيَقُولُونَ. Disbelievers, Allah wants to say, those who do not believe, all the time they want to find some excuses and they will find it. So the main reason is disbelieving of Allah and Resurrection Day. Then Allah says, وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. And Allah does not cause to err by it except transgressors. Allah will not misguide anybody by Quran unless transgressors. Transgressors will be misguided, will be in error, but it is their problem, not Allah's problem. And we said, when Allah gives some examples and they want to have excuse, this is a good excuse for them and they will be misguided in such a way. And by this meaning we can say that Allah caused it because Allah gave an example. But to give such an example was not wrong. It was their problem to understand wrongly, and it was their problem. They wanted to find some excuses not to follow the truth. وَمَا يُضِلُّ بِهِ إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ. When Allah is talking about transgressors, in the verse that is coming after that, Allah introduced them. Allah says, إِلَّا الْفَاسِقِينَ الَّذِينَ يَنْقُضُونَ أَحْدَ اللَّهِ مِنْ بَعْدِ مِيثَاقِهِ. Allah introduced them who are transgressors, those who break the covenant of Allah after having covenant with Him, after having allegiance to Allah, after promising, after that have broken. وَيَقْتَؤُونَ مَا أَمَرَ اللَّهُ بِهِ أَنْ يُوصَلَ. Inshallah, in next section, I would like to talk about this verse. Thank you very much for watching. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.